The billionaire CEO froze as the young woman in the neon pink dress burst through his office doors and declared, "Your divorced wife is still alive." Adrian's coffee cup shattered on the marble floor as memories of Mara, her laugh, her scent, her final goodbye, flooded back after 2 years of carefully constructed numbness. She's hiding from someone in your company who wants her dead. The same person who framed her, destroyed your marriage, and staged her accident. What would you do if someone you mourned suddenly existed again? Have you ever discovered a devastating truth that changed everything you thought you knew about someone you loved? The people closest to us sometimes hide the darkest secrets. Would you risk everything, your company, reputation, and life, to uncover a betrayal that destroyed your world? Follow this journey of betrayal, redemption, and second chances as we uncover why a powerful woman chose to disappear rather than fight for her truth. Let me take you back to that rainy Monday morning when Adrian Sterling's carefully rebuilt world came crashing down again. Adrian Sterling stood at his office window, watching raindrops race down the glass. 32 stories up, the city looked like a toy model. Tiny cars, miniature buildings, and ant-sized people going about their Monday morning. His reflection stared back at him. Tailored navy suit, perfectly knotted tie, and eyes that hadn't truly smiled in 2 years. "Mr. Sterling?" His assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. "The board members are waiting in the conference room. Tell them I'll be there in 5 minutes." Adrian turned to his desk, where quarterly reports and expansion proposals awaited his review. Sterling Innovations was about to launch in 3 new countries. The press called him a miracle worker for doubling company value since taking over. Nobody mentioned how work filled the hole where his heart used to be. He straightened his tie, practiced his CEO smile, and reached for his coffee. That's when the doors flew open. She wasn't what anyone would expect in the Sterling Tower. Young, maybe 20, with copper-brown skin, wild braided hair, and a neon pink dress that screamed defiance. Security guards scrambled behind her. "Sir, we tried to stop her." But the woman locked eyes with Adrian. "Your divorced wife is still alive." The coffee cup slipped from his fingers, shattering on imported marble. The sound echoed through the suddenly silent room. "Get out," Adrian told his security team, voice dangerously quiet. "Sir, we can't leave you with." "Out." When they gone, Adrian gripped his desk edge. "Who are you?" "My name is Zuri, and Amara Sterling, or whatever she calls herself now, is alive. I've seen her. Talked to her. She's running a shelter for women in trouble." "That's impossible." His voice cracked. "There was a car accident, a funeral, a fake. She had to disappear because someone wanted her dead. Still wants her dead." Adrian's mind raced through possibilities. A scam, a cruel joke, a case of mistaken identity. "Why should I believe you?" Zuri pulled out her phone, thumbed through photos, then turned the screen toward him. This was taken 8 days ago. The image hit Adrian like a physical blow. Amara, her hair different, face thinner, wearing plain clothes instead of designer labels, but unmistakably her. Those eyes that had once looked at him with love, now haunted. She stood outside a rundown building, helping an elderly woman up the steps. "Where?" The word caught in his throat. "The East Side, a place called Phoenix House." Adrian buzzed for his assistant. "Cancel the board meeting." "But sir, the Tokyo expansion." "Cancel everything and get my car ready." Zuri crossed her arms. "She told me you'd react like this. That's why she made me promise not to tell you where she's staying." Adrian's eyes narrowed. "Then why come to me at all?" "Because someone from your company found her. And now she's running again." Zuri's chin lifted. "She said to tell you one thing. Look in a music box." Adrian felt the floor tilt beneath him. The music box had been his wedding gift to Amara, a hand-carved wooden treasure that played their first dance song. He'd kept it, hidden away with other memories too painful to face. "What else did she say?" "That's it. Look in the music box. She said you'd understand." Adrian grabbed his coat. "Take me to her." "I can't, but I can help you find her if you really want to." "If I want to?" Something raw and dangerous flashed in his eyes. "Do you have any idea what it's like to bury someone you love? To blame yourself every day for 2 years, to finally start breathing again, only to find out it was all a lie. No, Zuri said quietly, but I know what it's like to be so scared you'd rather be dead than found. Their eyes locked in understanding. Two strangers connected by one missing woman. The music box first, Adrian said. Then you're taking me to the east side. Adrian's penthouse felt like a museum, beautiful, cold, untouched. Rain lashed against floor-to-ceiling windows as he unlocked the hidden safe behind a modern painting. Nice place, Zuri said, eyeing the minimalist furniture and stark white walls. Very warm and homey. Adrian ignored the sarcasm. The safe swung open, revealing a single wooden box. He hadn't touched it in 2 years. So, Zuri perched awkwardly on an armchair worth more than her yearly rent. You're gonna tell me why your wife had to fake her death? Must have been pretty bad for her to leave all this. Adrian's jaw tightened. Amara was my company's financial director. 2 years ago, $10 million disappeared from our accounts. All evidence pointed to her. He lifted the music box. We argued. Things got ugly. She left. 3 days later, her car went off the Mountain View Bridge. The box was heavier than he remembered. Intricate carvings of birds in flight decorated the lid. Did you believe she took the money? Zuri asked. Adrian's fingers hovered over the lid. I didn't want to, but the proof. He shook his head. Everyone said I was blind because I loved her. And now I don't know what to believe. He opened the box. A soft melody filled the room. Can't help falling in love. Their wedding song. Inside lay dried rose petals, a photo of their honeymoon, and a folded note he'd never seen before. His hands shook as he read. If you're reading this, I'm in danger. Trust no one at Sterling. The money was moved by someone with top-level access. Check transaction number 4872, source code. I love you. Always did. Always will. Beneath the note was a small flash drive. What is it? Zuri leaned forward. Adrian plugged the drive into his laptop. Files appeared. Bank records, emails, code snippets. His eyes widened as he scrolled. She was framed. His voice hollowed with shock. These logs show someone used her credentials to transfer the money. And look, he pointed to a sequence of commands. This code erased their digital footprints, but left hers visible. So she ran because whoever did this has power. Access. Adrian's face darkened. Someone I trusted. His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Stop looking. How do they know? Zuri whispered. We just found this. Adrian stared at the message, then at the penthouse around them. Because I've been watching. We're being watched right now. He grabbed his keys and the flash drive. We need to find her tonight. Before they do, and if we're followed. Adrian's eyes hardened into blue ice. Let them try. Adrian's sleek black Aston Martin looked wildly out of place as they crept through the east side's narrow streets. Rain-slicked potholes threatened the luxury car's suspension. Neon signs buzzed outside liquor stores and pawn shops. People huddled in doorways, eyeing the vehicle suspiciously. Turn left here, Zuri directed, and try to look less billionaire-ish. Adrian adjusted his watch. Worth more than most homes in this neighborhood. Phoenix House. What can you tell me about it? It's not what you'd expect. No sign outside. No official records. Women find it through word of mouth. Amara created a network. They call it the Underground. They help women disappear from abusive situations, get new identities, start over. And Amara runs this? Not exactly. She funds it, organizes it, but stays in the shadows. Zuri's voice softened. She saved my life, you know. My baby's father. He wasn't a good man. When I tried to leave, he threatened to kill me. Someone connected me with Amara. She got me out, set me up with a job, a place to stay. Adrian absorbed this, trying to reconcile this Amara with the woman he'd married. The brilliant financial wizard who wore designer suits and commanded boardrooms. Here. Stop here. Zuri pointed to a crumbling 3-story building with boarded windows and faded brick. Only a small yellow light above the door suggested habitation. As they approached, Adrian's heart hammered against his ribs. After 2 years of grief and guilt, Amara was just behind that door. Alive. Zuri knocked, 3 short too long. No answer. She tried again. Something's wrong, she whispered. Someone's always here. Adrian tested the handle. Unlocked. They stepped into darkness. Hello. Zuri called. Miss Say? Kira? Anyone? Adrian found a light switch. The bulb flickered, revealing an abandoned front room. Desks cleared. Filing cabinets emptied. But signs of hasty departure remained. A coffee mug still warm. A chair overturned. A scarf forgotten on a hook. They left in a hurry, Adrian said. Maybe an hour ago. This doesn't make sense. There were 20 women staying here yesterday. Adrian moved deeper into the building, checking rooms. All empty. In what appeared to be an office, he found a leather-bound journal beneath a desk, as if dropped during a rushed escape. The first page read, "Property of A.S. Amara's initials." His throat tightened as he flipped through pages of her handwriting. Coded entries, lists of names, locations. Some pages contained what looked like financial records. Others held sketches of building layouts. She documented everything, he murmured, then froze at a familiar name. Victor Harlow, his company's COO and his personal mentor. Next to it, primary threat. Access to all systems. Control security team B. Zuri, we need to. Glass shattered in the front room. Footsteps. Multiple sets. Hide, Adrian whispered, pulling her into a closet. Through a crack, they watched 3 masked figures enter, dressed in black, moving with military precision. Not thieves, hunters. Clear the building, one ordered. Find the journal and the girl. Sterling's been here. His car's outside. Adrian's mind raced. They knew about the journal. Knew he'd come, which meant Victor sent them. He whispered to Zuri, "We need to leave. Now." How? They're between us and the door. Adrian assessed their options. The window was their only escape, but they were on the 2nd floor, and the men were getting closer. "When I move, run for the fire escape," he whispered. "Don't stop, don't look back." Before she could protest, Adrian burst from the closet, grabbing a metal filing cabinet and sending it crashing toward the intruders. Chaos erupted, shouts, gunshots. Adrian tackled the nearest man, skills from long-abandoned boxing lessons returning instantly. "Gio!" he shouted to Zuri. She scrambled through the window onto rusty metal stairs. Adrian followed, the journal clutched in his hand. They clambered down as bullets pinged around them. In the alley below, Adrian grabbed Zuri's arm. This way, they ran through a maze of back streets, the sound of pursuit fading behind them. When they finally stopped, gasping for breath in the shadow of a railroad overpass, Adrian's phone buzzed. A text message showed a photo of them running, taken moments ago. Below it, "Stop looking or she dies for real this time." "They can't track us here," Adrian said, scanning the abandoned warehouse. After ditching his car and phone, they made their way to one of Sterling Innovations' forgotten properties, a storage facility Adrian had never reported to accounting. Dust-covered stacked furniture and old computer equipment. Zuri huddled under Adrian's suit jacket, shivering. Those weren't random thugs. They moved like professionals. They're corporate security. Adrian booted up an old computer system. Off-the-books team that handles Sterling's special problems. I never approved their existence. But Victor insisted we needed protection from industrial espionage. "Your mentor," Zuri said, "the man in Amara's journal." Adrian nodded grimly. "Victor Harlow. He's been with the company since my father ran it. Taught me everything I know." His voice hardened, and apparently a few things I didn't. The computer hummed to life. Adrian connected to a private server through backdoor access codes. "What are you doing?" Zuri peered over his shoulder, accessing security footage from around the time Amara left. His fingers flew across the keyboard. If Victor framed her, there might be evidence. As files loaded, Adrian pulled out Amara's journal. Most entries were in code, but some names stood clear: board members, security personnel, and women helped by Phoenix House. Pages of financial records matched transactions on the flash drive. Evidence meticulously gathered over 2 years. "She never stopped fighting," Adrian murmured. Even in hiding, she was building a case. The security footage began playing, clips from Sterling Tower 2 years earlier. Adrian saw himself younger, less guarded. and Amara. Beautiful, confident, striding through the executive floor. His chest tightened watching her. Brown skin glowing, dark curls falling past her shoulders, that determined set to her jaw he'd always admired. Footage showed her working late, meeting with staff, having lunch with Adrian. Nothing suspicious. Then came the week before the scandal broke. Amara entering Victor's office. Their conversation had no audio, but her body language shifted from professional to alarmed. Next day, Amara frantically working at her computer, glancing over her shoulder repeatedly. She knew something was wrong, Adrian said. The final clip, Amara and Adrian in her office, arguing fiercely. He watched himself storm out, watched her collapse into her chair, head in hands. After a moment, she straightened, made a phone call, then began deleting files. Hours later, Victor entered her empty office, used her computer, and left with a satisfied smile. "That snake," Adrian hissed. He waited until she left, then planted the evidence. Zuri pointed to the screen. "Look at the timestamp. This was the night before she supposedly took the money." Adrian checked more footage. Victor accessing restricted areas, meeting with security teams. And most damning, Victor in the server room the night $10 million vanished from Sterling accounts. He set her up completely. Adrian's voice shook with rage. But why? Victor was like family. As if answering his question, the next clip showed Victor watching Adrian and Amara from across the executive dining room. His expression twisted with jealousy as they laughed together. "Oh." Zuri's voice softened with understanding. "He wanted her." Adrian rubbed his face. "He mentioned once, I thought jokingly, that he'd always hoped to find someone like Amara. I never realized." The final clips showed the aftermath. Police at Sterling Tower, Amara's empty office being searched, Adrian looking shell-shocked in board meetings as Victor stood supportively beside him. "He comforted me," Adrian said, disgust rising in his throat. "Helped me through her betrayal. Stood beside me at her funeral. While she was building a new life in hiding." Zuri finished. Adrian started gathering evidence onto a secure drive. "We need to find her before Victor does." The journal mentions other safe houses. He stopped, noticing something odd in his wedding photo on the desk. A tiny blinking light. "Don't react," he whispered to Zuri, writing on a paper instead. "Listening device." "They found us." Outside, car door slammed. "This way," Zuri whispered, leading Adrian through a maze of back alleys. Rain had turned to mist, clinging to their skin as they moved through shadows. After their narrow escape from the warehouse, slipping out through a loading dock seconds before Victor's men stormed in, they'd spent hours making sure they weren't followed. Now, past midnight, they approached a rundown community center with darkened windows. "Are you sure about this?" Adrian asked. "The network moves, but it never stops." Zuri knocked a pattern on a side door. "They'll be here." The door opened a crack, revealing a young woman with suspicious eyes. When she spotted Zuri, relief washed over her face. "Girl, we thought you were dead." She hugged Zuri fiercely, then froze at the sight of Adrian. "Who's this?" "Kira, meet Adrian Sterling." Kira's expression hardened. "The husband? No way. He's not coming in. He's helping me find Miss A," Zuri insisted. "She's in danger. We're all in danger now." Kira reluctantly stepped aside. 10 minutes. That's all he gets. Inside, what appeared to be an abandoned building transformed into a bustling operations center. Women of all ages worked at computers, packed supplies, and studied maps. Some wore professional clothes. Others looked like they'd fled with just the shirts on their backs. Adrian took in the scene, understanding dawn. "This is bigger than Phoenix House." "Phoenix was just one shelter," Kira explained, still eyeing him warily. "The network has 7 safe houses across the city. When one location gets compromised, we shift operations." A bulletin board displayed photos of women, before and after transformations. In the before images, bruised faces, fearful eyes. After showed the same women with new hairstyles, different clothing, confident smiles. Amara built all this? Adrian asked. From nothing, Kira confirmed. Using her own money at first, then anonymous donations. She created a system to help women disappear when the legal system fails them. Adrian spotted financial ledgers, identity documents, and security protocols that mirrored corporate standards. Amara's brilliant mind at work, repurposed to save lives. Where is she now? Kira crossed her arms. Why should we tell you? Last time you saw her, you called her a thief and a liar. I was wrong, Adrian said quietly. I have proof she was framed. But my company's so... Victor Harlow, a woman's voice said from behind them. They turned to find an elderly woman with steel gray hair watching Adrian intently. You know him? Adrian asked. I worked at Sterling Innovations for 30 years. Accounting department. Her eyes narrowed. 2 years ago, Mr. Harlow asked me to process unusual transfers. When I questioned them, I was fired. A week later, my house burned down with me inside. At least, that's what the reports said. Adrian's stomach clenched. He silenced you. He tried. Amara found me, gave me a new identity. I've been helping with the network's finances ever since. She gestured to others in the room. Everyone here has a similar story. 3 women worked at your company. All disappeared after questioning financial irregularities. Adrian pulled out his phone, showing them security footage of Victor accessing restricted areas. This is the man who framed Amara and is hunting her now, he said. I need to find her before he does. The women exchanged glances. Finally, Kira nodded. Bluefield Apartments. Across town. She moves every 3 days. Tonight's her last night there. As Adrian turned to leave, the elderly accountant caught his arm. Mr. Sterling? There's something you should know. The money Victor stole, the $10 million that Amara was blamed for, that was just the beginning. He's been siphoning funds for years. Hundreds of millions. Adrian's blood ran cold. How do you know? She handed him a USB drive. Because we've been tracking every penny. This isn't just about clearing Amara's name anymore. This is about exposing a criminal who's stolen from your company, your shareholders, and you. Adrian pocketed the drive. Thank you. As they headed for the door, security footage on a nearby monitor caught his attention. Victor meeting with board members, including people Adrian considered friends. The timestamp, yesterday. They're all involved, Adrian realized. Not all, Kira corrected, but enough to control your company if you were gone. Adrian and Zuri slipped back into the night, racing against time to reach Amara. What they didn't see was the camera across the street, tracking their movements, sending real-time footage to Victor Harlow's phone. The Sterling Innovations boardroom gleamed with power. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a massive mahogany table reflecting morning light. Leather chairs worth more than most cars. 8 board members sat watching Adrian with expressions ranging from concern to suspicion. Victor Harlow stood at the head of the table, silver hair perfectly styled, Italian suit immaculate. At 55, he radiated authority, the kind that made younger men instinctively defer to him. For 15 years, he'd been Adrian's mentor, his father figure, his trusted advisor, and apparently his greatest enemy. Adrian, we're concerned, Victor began, his deep voice warm with practiced sincerity. You missed yesterday's Tokyo call. Your assistant says you haven't been home. And frankly, you look terrible. He gestured to Adrian's rumpled suit, the same one he'd worn while fleeing the warehouse. After dropping Zuri at a secure location, Adrian had come straight to this emergency board meeting. Walking into the lion's den, knowing some of these people were conspiring against him. I apologize for my appearance, Adrian said smoothly. I've been working on a sensitive project, something that couldn't wait. More important than the Tokyo expansion? Board member Patricia Reynolds asked, her red nails tapping impatiently. That deal represents 30% of our projected growth. Adrian smiled thinly. Actually, yes. More important than Tokyo. He opened his laptop. I've been reviewing our financial records. Specifically, transaction number 4872 from 2 years ago. The one that implicated my wife in embezzlement. The room temperature seemed to drop. Victor's smile flickered but held. Ancient history, Adrian, he said. We've moved past that unfortunate business. Have we? Adrian connected his laptop to the projection system. Because I found some discrepancies that need addressing. Victor moved to intercept. The board doesn't need to waste time on. Actually, we do, said James Michaels, the oldest board member. Let him speak. Adrian nodded gratefully to Michaels, one ally, at least. He displayed the security footage showing Victor using Amara's computer after hours. This was taken the night before $10 million disappeared from our accounts, Adrian explained. What was my COO doing accessing my wife's terminal without authorization? Victor laughed. This is absurd. I was probably retrieving a report she'd prepared. At 11:43 p.m., after she'd left for the day, Adrian clicked to the next clip. Victor in the server room during the exact time frame when the money vanished. And I suppose you were just checking the server temperature at 2 a.m.? Murmurs rippled through the room. Victor's jaw tightened. Adrian, you're under immense stress. Perhaps taking your wife's death harder than we realized. These conspiracy theories, they're not theories when backed by evidence. Adrian turned to the board. Victor framed my wife for stealing company funds. When she discovered his broader scheme, he threatened her life. She had to fake her death to escape him. The room erupted in shocked exclamations. Fake her death? Patricia scoffed. We attended her funeral. A closed casket for a body that was never recovered, Adrian reminded them. Very convenient. Victor slammed his hand on the table. This is outrageous. Adrian is clearly having some kind of breakdown. His assistant mentioned he's been acting erratically, disappearing, making wild accusations. My assistant reports to you. Not me, Adrian said quietly. She has since you placed her in my office 3 years ago. Several board members exchanged glances. The pieces were falling into place. Victor straightened his tie. I think we need to consider a temporary leadership change while Adrian seeks help. As COO, I can step in. Before you finish that sentence, Adrian interrupted, you should know I've shared all this evidence with the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. They're very interested in the offshore accounts where that missing money landed. Victor's face paled slightly. You're making a mistake, Adrian. A terrible mistake. No, Adrian said, standing. My mistake was trusting you. My mistake was believing you when you told me my wife betrayed me. As if on cue, Adrian's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Get out now. Adrian glanced out the window and spotted a red dot dancing on his chest. A sniper's laser sight. Meeting adjourned, he said, diving beneath the table as the window exploded. The Bluefield apartments squatted against the night sky like a decaying tooth, 6 floors of crumbling brick and rusted fire escapes. Far from the gleaming high-rise where Adrian had nearly been shot hours earlier. Apartment 412, Zuri whispered as they approached. But she might have already gone. After what happened at the board meeting. After the sniper attack, which the news was calling a construction accident, Adrian had gone underground. His company access revoked, his accounts frozen, his face plastered across financial news networks as unstable and paranoid. Victor's countermove had been swift and comprehensive. Now Adrian stood before apartment 412, heart hammering against his ribs. For 2 years he believed Amara dead, grieved her, blamed himself for her death. And now just beyond this door, he knocked. No answer. She wouldn't stay after the attack, Zuri said. Too dangerous. Adrian tried the handle. Locked. But years ago, Amara had taught him a trick from her childhood. A credit card slid just right could pop certain locks. He smiled at the memory, working the card into the jam. The door clicked open. The apartment was small, bare, and functional. No personal touches. Nothing to suggest the brilliant woman who'd once decorated their penthouse with vibrant art and fresh flowers. But she had been here. Her scent, jasmine and vanilla, lingered faintly. A cup sat in the sink, lipstick on its rim. Her shade. She left in a hurry, Adrian observed, noting the half-empty closet drawers left partially open. A worn notebook lay abandoned on the kitchen counter. He opened it, finding lists of women's names, safe house addresses, and his breath caught sketches of him. Dozens of them. Adrian laughing. Adrian is sleeping. Adrian at his desk. drawn from memory, each capturing something essential about him that only someone who truly knew him could see. "She never stopped loving you," Zuri said softly. Adrian's fingers traced a sketch of his face. "Then why didn't she come to me? I could have protected her. Could you? Against a man who controlled your security team? Who had board members in his pocket? Who could frame her so completely that even you believed she was guilty?" The truth of this hit Adrian like a physical blow. He'd failed her, doubted her when she needed him most. A floorboard creaked behind them. They whirled around to find a woman in the doorway. Not Amara, but someone with her same graceful posture. Middle-aged, with gentle eyes and graying hair. "Mrs. Williams," Zuri breathed. "You scared us." "Sorry, child." Mrs. Williams studied Adrian. "So you're him, the husband." Adrian nodded, suddenly unable to speak. "She kept your picture," Mrs. Williams said. "By her bed. Every place we moved, that picture came too." "Where is she now?" Adrian asked, finding his voice. "Safe. For the moment." Mrs. Williams handed him a folded paper. "She left this for you. Said you'd come eventually." Adrian unfolded the note with trembling fingers. If you're reading this, you know the truth now. I'm sorry for letting you believe I was dead. It was the only way to protect you. Victor wanted more than money. He wanted me. When I rejected him, he threatened to destroy us both. The embezzlement was just the beginning. There's a storage unit on 9th and Main. Unit number 415. The key is where you first kissed me. Be careful. Trust no one. Hey. Adrian closed his eyes, memory washing over him. Their first kiss, the botanical garden. The stone bench beside the koi pond. That's where she'd hidden the key. "I need to go," he said. Mrs. Williams touched his arm. "She still wears her ring, you know. Never took it off." Adrian's hand moved instinctively to his bare finger. He'd remove his wedding band the day of her funeral. As they turned to leave, a young woman burst through the door, panic on her face. "They found a network headquarters," she gasped. "Everyone scattered." And, her eyes fixed on Adrian, "They know you're here. They're coming. Now." Mrs. Williams thrust a note into Adrian's hand. "Go out the back. Take the service stairs." As they fled down the narrow stairwell, shots rang out above them. Adrian looked at the note. Grant Park. Midnight. The gazebo. "She'll be there," Zuri said. This is how she communicates when it's not safe to use phones. They pushed through the service exit into the alley behind the building, just as black SUVs screeched to a halt out front. "We need to split up," Adrian said. "They're tracking me somehow. What about the storage unit?" "I'll get there. But first, I need to check something." Adrian handed Zuri a key card. "Hotel Anders, room 712. It's registered under a fake name. Wait for me there." As they parted ways, Adrian pulled out his phone, dialing a number he hadn't used in years. "Dad, it's me. I need your help. You look like hell, son." Richard Sterling sat across from Adrian in the dimly lit garage of his countryside estate. At 68, the former CEO of Sterling Innovations remained imposing, 6 feet tall with a full head of white hair and the same piercing blue eyes as his son. "Been a rough couple days," Adrian admitted, accepting the coffee his father offered. Their relationship had fractured years ago when Adrian took over the company and modernized operations, pushing aside his father's outdated management style. They hadn't spoken in nearly 3 years. "So," Richard leaned back in his chair, "Victor Harlow wants you dead, and your supposedly dead wife is alive. Did I miss anything?" "That about covers it." Adrian sipped the coffee, grateful for its warmth. "Victor's turned the board against me. Frozen my accounts. My own security team tried to kill me this morning." Richard nodded thoughtfully. "I always thought there was something off about Victor. Too smooth. Too perfect." His eyes met Adrian's. "And I never believed Amara stole that money." Adrian blinked in surprise. "You didn't. She was too smart for that. Too straightforward. And she loved you too much to hurt you that way." Richard cleared his throat. "I should have said something back then." An awkward silence stretched between them. Years of unspoken regrets. "I need your help, Dad. I have evidence against Victor, but I can't access it without walking into a trap." Richard stood, moving to a keypad on the wall. "You're not the only one with resources, son. The back wall slid open, revealing a small command center, computers, monitors, communications equipment. "What is this?" Adrian asked, stunned. "Let's just say a retirement board me." Richard grinned. "I've kept tabs on the company. And on Victor." Richard pulled up financial records, surveillance footage, phone logs, a treasure trove of intelligence. "Victor's been planning this for years," he explained, "starting with pushing me into early retirement, then isolating you from allies on the board. The final step was removing Amara, the only person whose financial expertise could expose him. But why? He was already wealthy, respected. Power. Control." Richard shrugged. "An obsession with Amara. His ex-wife left him 20 years ago for another man. Amara resembled her. I think in his twisted mind, controlling Amara was fixing his past." Adrian felt sick. He wanted to own her, and when he couldn't have her, he tried to destroy her. Richard pulled up a series of offshore transactions. He's stolen over $300 million over the past decade, built a shadow empire using company resources. "We need to get this to the authorities." "Already working on it. But we have a more immediate problem." Richard pointed to a tracking program. "Your phone, your watch, even your shoes have trackers in them. That's how they keep finding you." Adrian stared at the blinking dot that represented his location. "My assistant. She must have planted them." "Deborah? Victor's been sleeping with her for years." "How do you know that?" Richard smirked. "I have my sources." Adrian stripped off his watch, removed his shoes, and powered down his phone. "Better," Richard said. "Now about this storage unit Amara mentioned. I need to get to the botanical garden first. That's where she hid the key." Richard handed him a secure phone. "My head of security will meet you there. Former military. Trust him." As Adrian prepared to leave, his father hesitated, then pulled him into a rough embrace. "I was wrong about a lot of things," Richard said gruffly. "But I was right about Amara. She was the best thing that ever happened to you." Adrian's throat tightened. "I know, Dad. I know." A notification flashed on Richard's computer. Security footage from Sterling Tower showing Victor in Adrian's office, removing items from his safe. He's looking for something, Adrian realized. The evidence Amara left. Another alert appeared. A news bulletin announcing an emergency board meeting tomorrow morning. "They're going to remove you as CEO," Richard said grimly. "Once that happens, Victor will have complete control." Adrian checked his watch. It's 10:30. The botanical garden closes at 11. "I need to move now." "What about meeting Amara at midnight?" Adrian paused at the door. First the key, then the storage unit, then Amara. His eyes hardened. And then Victor pays for everything he's done. The botanical garden's night lighting cast eerie shadows across exotic plants and winding paths. Adrian moved silently through the darkness, guided by memory and the faint glow of security lights. His father's security chief, a granite-faced man named Daniels, melted into the shadows nearby, keeping watch. The garden was officially closed, but a generous donation to the night guard had secured their entrance. The koi pond lay in the Japanese section, across a wooden bridge and past a bamboo grove. As Adrian approached, memories washed over him. Amara laughed as they fed the fish. Her yellow sundress is bright against green foliage. The way she'd looked up at him, eyes full of challenge and affection. "Are you going to kiss me or not, Adrian Sterling?" And he had, right there on the stone bench beside the pond. Now, 2 years and a lifetime later, he knelt at that same bench, fingers searching the underside. There, a small metal box attached with magnets. Inside, a single key with a number tag. 415. "Got it," he whispered into his calm. "Movement at the north entrance," Daniels responded. "Security patrol." Adrian pocketed the key and retreated toward their exit point. As he passed a dense cluster of tropical plants, a hand shot out, clamping over his mouth. "Don't make a sound," a woman whispered. Adrian froze, recognizing the voice instantly. Not Amara, but Maya, his head of security who'd gone missing after warning him about Victor. She released him, pressing a finger to her lips. In the dim light, Adrian could see bruises on her face, her normally immaculate uniform replaced by nondescript black clothing. "Maya, what happened to you?" "Victor happened." Her voice was raspy. "When he realized I was loyal to you, he had me detained. I escaped this morning." "How did you find me?" "Your father contacted me. Said you'd be here." She checked her watch. "We don't have much time. Victor's men are searching every property connected to you and Amara. I need to get to a storage unit on 9th and Main." Maya nodded. "I have a car waiting." "But Adrian," she hesitated, "Victor's gone nuclear. He's claiming you've had a psychological break." That grief over Amara drove you to paranoid delusions. "Clever." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Makes any accusations I make sound crazy." "The board believes him. They're voting tomorrow to remove you. Then we need what's in that storage unit tonight." They slipped out through a service entrance where Daniels waited with a nondescript sedan. As they drove toward the storage facility, Maya filled Adrian in on Victor's operation. He has at least 30 private security contractors working for him. Ex-military. They're hunting Amara and anyone connected to her network. "How did you escape them?" Maya's expression darkened. "They got careless. Thought a woman couldn't fight back. They were wrong." The storage facility loomed ahead, a sprawling complex of metal units behind chain-link fencing. The night attendant barely glanced at them before buzzing them through. Unit 415 was in the back corner, away from security cameras. Adrian's hand trembled slightly as he inserted the key. The door rolled up to reveal a small, climate-controlled space containing a single item, a gleaming black piano. "What the hell?" Maya muttered, but Adrian understood immediately. The piano from their penthouse, Amara's prized possession. The one thing she'd insisted on keeping when they married, despite it clashing with their modern decor. "She kept it," he whispered, running his fingers over the polished surface. "We came for piano." Maya sounded incredulous. "No." Adrian lifted the keyboard cover. "We came for what's inside it." He pressed a specific sequence of keys, the first notes of their wedding song. A hidden compartment in the piano's bass clicked open. Inside lay an external hard drive, a thick manila envelope, and a velvet jewelry box. Adrian opened the envelope first, finding comprehensive financial records detailing Victor's embezzlement scheme. The hard drive likely contained digital copies of the same. The jewelry box held something that made Adrian's breath catch. His wedding ring, which he'd thrown away the day of Amara's funeral. She'd retrieved it and kept it all this time. "This is everything we need," Adrian said, his voice thick with emotion. "Enough to expose Victor and clear Amara's name." Maya checked her watch. "It's 11:40. If she's meeting you at midnight." A phone rang, not Adrian's secure device, but a cell phone hidden beneath the piano's bench. Adrian answered cautiously. "Hello." "Adrian." Amara's voice, after 2 years. "Don't come to the gazebo. It's a trap." Victor found the note. His heart raced at the sound of her voice. "Where are you?" "Safe for now. Listen carefully. Victor's called an emergency press conference for 9 a.m. tomorrow. He's going to announce your removal and declare himself interim CEO. We have the evidence, Amara. Everything from the storage unit." A pause. "You found it." Relief flooded her voice. "Then there's one more thing you need to know." She took a deep breath. "We have a daughter, Adrian. She's 18 months old. I was pregnant when I left." The world seemed to stop. "A daughter? Her name is Zara. She has your eyes." Amara's voice broke. "I wanted to tell you so many times." The line suddenly went dead. "Amara? Amara." Maya grabbed his arm. "We need to go. Now." Through the storage facility's gate, headlights appeared, a line of black SUVs entering the complex. "Victor," Adrian growled. He traced the call. They raced to their car, evidence clutched tightly in Adrian's hands. As they peeled out of the parking lot, bullets pinged against metal. "I know where she is," Adrian said suddenly. "The place we talked about retiring to someday. Our secret." Maya nodded grimly, pressing the accelerator to the floor as they disappeared into the night. Behind them, Victor's men gave chase, closing in on the final confrontation that would determine all their fates. The lakeside cabin stood silhouetted against a star-filled sky, its weathered wood and stone chimney unchanged since Adrian had purchased it 5 years ago. Their secret place, known only to him and Amara, mentioned in dreamy late-night conversations about escaping the corporate world someday. "Stay back," Adrian told Maya and Daniels as they approached through dense trees. "Make sure we weren't followed." Heart pounding, Adrian moved toward the cabin alone. No lights showed through the windows, but smoke curled from the chimney. Someone was inside. The wooden steps creaked beneath his feet. At the door, he hesitated, suddenly terrified. After 2 years believing she was dead, after the pain and grief and guilt, after learning she'd hidden their child from him, what would he say to her? Before he could knock, the door opened, and there she was. Amara stood framed in the doorway, the firelight behind her casting a golden glow around her silhouette. Thinner than he remembered, her once shoulder-length curls now cropped short against her head. She wore simple jeans and a sweater instead of the designer clothes she'd once favored. But her eyes, those warm brown eyes that had first captured his heart, remained unchanged. For a long moment, neither spoke. The weight of 2 years, of loss, secrets, and survival, hung between them. "You came," she finally whispered. "You're alive," he answered, his voice breaking. Then they were in each other's arms, holding on as if the world might tear them apart again at any moment. Adrian breathed in her scent, felt the solidity of her in his embrace, and something broken inside him began to heal. "I'm sorry," she murmured against his chest. "I'm so sorry, Adrian." He pulled back, framing her face with his hands. "You have nothing to apologize for. I failed you. I believed the worst when I should have trusted you. You had evidence. Victor made sure of that. I had evidence, but I also had you. Our history, our love." His thumb brushed away a tear on her cheek. "I should have known better." Amara's expression clouded. "Did you find the storage unit? The records?" Adrian nodded, holding up the envelope and hard drive. "Everything. Enough to destroy Victor and clear her name." Relief washed over her face. Then it wasn't all for nothing. A soft sound from inside the cabin drew Adrian's attention. Amara's eyes met his, understanding the unasked question. "She's sleeping," she said softly. "Do you want to see her?" Adrian could only nod, throat too tight for words. Amara led him inside the simple cabin. A fire crackled in the stone fireplace, casting warm light over rustic furniture. In a small side room, a portable crib held a tiny sleeping figure. Adrian approached slowly, afraid to wake her. His daughter lay on her back, one small fist curled beside her face, dark curls like her mother's. His blue eyes, though currently closed in peaceful sleep. His heart expanded in his chest, making room for a love he hadn't known was possible. "Zara," he whispered, the name of prayer on his lips. "I show her your picture every day," Amara said from behind him. "Tell her stories about her brave, brilliant father. She's perfect." Adrian couldn't take his eyes off the sleeping child. "All this time, I had a daughter. I wanted to tell you. So many times I almost came back." Amara's voice caught. "But Victor made it clear what would happen if I did. He said he'd take everything from you. The company, your reputation. That he'd destroy us both." Adrian turned to her, taking her hands in his. "None of that matters. The company, my reputation, they're nothing compared to you and Zara." A noise outside made them both freeze. Maya appeared in the doorway, expression grim. 2 SUVs approaching. Fast. Adrian's mind raced. "How did they find us?" Amara paled. "The network. If Victor captured any of our people, we need to go. Now." Adrian moved to the crib, gently lifting his sleeping daughter. She stirred but didn't wake, instinctively curling against his chest. Amara grabbed a pre-packed bag, always ready to run, he realized with a pang. "There's a boat docked behind the cabin," she said. "We can cross the lake." They slipped out the back door as headlights swept the front of the cabin. Adrian cradled Zara protectively while Maya and Daniels provided cover, weapons drawn. The small motorboat waited at a wooden dock. Amara climbed in first, taking Zara, while Adrian and the others joined them. Daniels started the engine, keeping it quiet as they pulled away from shore. Behind them, Shouts erupted. Flashlight beams cut through darkness. A shot rang out, splashing water near the boat. "Down!" Maya commanded, returning fire as Daniels opened the throttle. Adrian shielded Amara and Zara with his body as bullets whizzed overhead. Zara woke, crying in fear. "It's okay," Amara soothed, though her voice trembled. "Mommy's here. Daddy's here. Daddy." The word struck Adrian like a physical blow. He was a father. This tiny, perfect being depended on him, and he nearly lost her before ever knowing she existed. As the boat sped toward the opposite shore, Adrian made a silent vow. Victor would pay for every moment stolen from them, for forcing Amara into hiding, for separating him from his child, for the fear in his daughter's cries. "Where to now?" Daniels called over the engine's roar. "My father's estate," Adrian decided. "It's secure, and he has resources we need." "Victor will expect that," Maya warned. "Good." Adrian's expression hardened. "Because I'm done running. It's time to end this, tonight." As the boat cut through dark waters, Adrian held his newfound family close. Across the lake, Victor's men scrambled for vehicles to drive around to the opposite shore. But they would be too late. By sunrise, everything would change. Richard Sterling's country estate loomed against the pre-dawn sky. A sprawling stone mansion surrounded by tall iron gates and security cameras. As their borrowed SUV approached, the gates swung open automatically. "My father's expecting us," Adrian explained, cradling his sleeping daughter against his chest. The weight of her tiny body, the soft rhythm of her breathing. These new sensations overwhelmed him with protective love. Richard met them at the door, his imposing figure silhouetted against warm light from inside. His eyes widened at the sight of Amara. "Welcome back from the dead," he said gruffly, then noticed the child in Adrian's arms. His tough exterior cracked. "Is that your granddaughter?" Amara confirmed. "Zara." Something shifted in the old man's face, a softening, a wonder. He cleared his throat. "Well, better get inside before Victor's goons track you here." The mansion's grand foyer gave way to a comfortable living room where a fire crackled in a massive stone fireplace. Richard's security team patrolled the grounds while Maya and Daniels joined the perimeter watch. "You're safe here," Richard assured them. "This place has better security than the White House." Adrian settled Zara on a plush sofa, still marveling at her existence. Amara sat beside her, exhaustion evident in the dark circles under her eyes. "When was the last time you slept properly?" Adrian asked softly. "About 2 years ago," she answered with a tired smile. "The night before everything fell apart." Richard returned with coffee and a laptop. "We have until 9 a.m. before Victor's press conference. That gives us 4 hours to build our counterattack." They spread the evidence from the storage unit across an antique dining table. Financial records, digital files, recordings. Combined with Richard's intelligence and Maya's insider knowledge, the picture became devastatingly clear. "Victor's been embezzling for years," Adrian said, reviewing the documents. "These offshore accounts hold over $300 million of company money." "That's just the beginning," Amara added, pulling up files on a hard drive. "He's been selling proprietary technology to competitors, using company resources for personal ventures. The embezzlement was just his retirement fund." Richard whistled. "The shareholders will crucify him." "Not if he crucifies me first," Adrian said grimly. He turned on the television, where breaking news showed Sterling Tower surrounded by reporters. A crawler headline read, "Sterling CEO suffers mental breakdown, makes wild accusations." A company spokesperson read a statement. "The board of Sterling Innovations is deeply concerned about Adrian Sterling's recent behavior, which includes paranoid delusions about his deceased wife and unfounded accusations against respected executives. Mr. Sterling has been under tremendous stress since his wife's tragic death 2 years ago." "They're painting you as crazy," Richard observed, "and it's working." Adrian's phone buzzed with a secure message from an ally on the board. "They suspended me, pending a psychiatric evaluation. Victor's been named interim CEO, effective immediately." Amara's face paled. With CEO access, he can delete server archives, alter records. Exactly. Adrian paced the room. He'll erase every trace of his crimes before we can stop him. Richard's security chief entered with troubling news. Sir, we've detected multiple vehicles approaching from the east. ETA 10 minutes. How do they find us so quickly? Amara gathered Zara, instantly alert. Adrian checked his watch. We need to move now. Dad, is the helicopter fueled? Always. Richard nodded toward the back of the property. But you can't keep running forever. We're not running, Adrian said, his jaw set. We're executing a tactical retreat. He turned to Amara. I need you and Zara to go somewhere Victor would never look. I'm not leaving you, she protested. You have to. Adrian's voice softened. It's not just about us anymore. He glanced at their sleeping daughter. If this goes wrong, she needs one parent safe. Pain flashed across Amara's face, but she nodded. Where? Zuri's place. The network can hide you. As they hurried toward the helipad, Adrian made a final call to James Michaels, the one board member he still trusted. James, it's Adrian. I need 20 minutes in the Sterling Tower server room tomorrow morning. No questions asked. The old man's voice crackled through the phone. That's asking a lot, son. I have proof Victor's been stealing from the company for years. Hundreds of millions. A pause. The East Service entrance. 8:30 morgens. I'll handle security. As the helicopter's rotors whirred to life, Adrian pulled Amara close, kissing her deeply. This ends tomorrow, he promised. One way or another. He watched the helicopter lift off, carrying his newfound family to safety, then turned to face the approaching headlights. Behind him, Richard chambered around in his hunting rifle. Like old times, the elder Sterling said with a grim smile. Father and son against the world. Adrian checked his watch. 5:47 a.m. Less than 3 hours until he walked into the lion's den. You look awful, Zuri observed, handing Adrian a cup of coffee. Dawn light filtered through the windows of her small apartment where Adrian, Maya, and 2 of Amara's network operatives had gathered. After the firefight at Richard's estate, which ended with Victor's men retreating under heavy fire, they'd split up to implement Adrian's plan. Thanks, Adrian said dryly, checking his reflection in a cracked mirror. He'd intentionally disheveled his appearance. Rumpled clothes, uncombed hair, day-old stubble. The perfect image of a man coming apart. How's Amara? He asked, unable to hide the concern in his voice. Safe. We moved her and Zara 3 times last night. Zuri's expression softened. Your daughter's beautiful. Adrian smiled despite the tension. She looks like her mother. But with your eyes, Zuri added. And your stubbornness, from what Amara says. Maya interrupted, checking her watch. It's time. Adrian nodded, steeling himself. Everyone clear on the plan? The network women, former professionals now living under new identities, reviewed their roles. 1, a former IT director, would access Sterling's backup servers. Another, who'd worked in media relations, would manage press contacts. Remember, Adrian instructed, we need Victor completely convinced he's won. That means I have to look defeated. Not a stretch in that outfit, Zuri quipped. Adrian smiled tightly. Keep the satellite phones on. If anything goes wrong, we extract you, Maya finished, and burn the whole thing down if necessary. At 8:15 a.m., a nondescript van dropped Adrian at Sterling Tower's E-Service entrance. James Michaels waited, concern etched on his weathered face. The board meeting starts in 30 minutes, he warned. Victor's gathered everyone, plus press. He's announcing a new direction for the company. Perfect timing, Adrian said, pulling a flash drive from his pocket. Get me to the server room. They slipped through back corridors, avoiding the main lobby where reporters gathered for Victor's press conference. Using Michael's security badge, they accessed the restricted server level. 10 minutes, Michaels warned. That's all I can guarantee. Adrian worked quickly, uploading Amara's evidence to the company's main server. Then he activated a program designed by the network's IT expert, a triggered release that would broadcast specific files to the boardroom screens during Victor's presentation. Done, Adrian said, pocketing the flash drive. Now, for the hard part. Michaels handed him a small recording device. Be careful, son. Victor's not stable. There are rumors he's hired professionals to handle the Amara problem permanently. Adrian's blood ran cold. All the more reason to end this now. At 8:55 a.m., Adrian strode into the Sterling Tower lobby, disheveled, unshaven, wild-eyed. Exactly the image of a man having a breakdown that Victor had painted. Security recognized him immediately. Whispers spread through the gathered press. Cameras turned his way. Mr. Sterling, is it true you've been suspended? Adrian, are you seeking psychiatric help? Do you still believe your dead wife is alive? Adrian ignored them all, heading straight for the elevators. When security moved to stop him, he shouted loud enough for everyone to hear. I need to see Victor Harlow. He knows the truth. Upstairs, the board gathered in the conference room. Screens displayed Sterling Innovation's impressive growth charts. Victor stood at the head of the table, impeccably dressed, radiating confidence. When Adrian burst through the doors, Victor's surprise seemed genuine. Then a slow, satisfied smile spread across his face. Adrian, he said, voice dripping with false concern. You shouldn't be here. You need help. I need answers. Adrian growled, playing his role perfectly. You set her up. You drove her away. You took everything from me. Board members exchanged uncomfortable glances. Cameras rolled as reporters captured the meltdown they'd been promised. Victor sighed dramatically. You see, ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly why the board made the difficult but necessary decision to replace Adrian temporarily. He turned to security. Please escort Mr. Sterling to the medical suite. His doctor's been called. As security approached, Adrian made his move, lunging toward Victor, grabbing his collar, activating the recording device in his pocket. Tell them the truth, he shouted. Tell them what you did to Amara. Security pulled Adrian back, restraining him as Victor straightened his tie, the picture of dignified patience. Take him out, Victor ordered, and make sure he doesn't leave the building. For his own safety. As Adrian was dragged away, still shouting accusations, he caught Victor's eye. For just a moment, the mask slipped, revealing the cold, calculating predator beneath. Phase 1 complete, Adrian thought as security escorted him to an empty office. Now he just had to wait for Victor to take the bait. 15 minutes later, the door opened. Victor entered alone, dismissing the guards. I always respected your intelligence, Adrian, he said, locking the door behind him. But I never expected you to be this stupid. Adrian slumped in his chair, the picture of a broken man. I just want to know why. She loved me. We were happy. Victor's professional facade dissolved, replaced by something ugly and bitter. Happy, he spat. You didn't deserve her. You didn't appreciate her brilliance, her fire. You treated her like an accessory, the perfect wife for the perfect CEO, while you would have treated her better? Adrian asked, recording every word. I understood her value, Victor hissed. I saw her potential when she was just an accounting intern. I mentored her, groomed her. She was meant to be by my side, not yours. So you framed her for embezzlement when she rejected you. Victor laughed coldly. The embezzlement was just the beginning. I've been bleeding this company for years, right under your nose. Your father's nose before that. The great Sterling men, too busy counting their millions to notice the hundreds of millions I was diverting. And now you've won, Adrian said quietly. You're CEO. You've got the board eating from your hand. The press thinks I'm crazy. Almost. Victor leaned closer. There's just one loose end. Amara. She's alive, isn't she? Still hiding in those pathetic shelters she built. Adrian's heart raced, but he kept his expression neutral. If she were, would you kill her? Again, kill her. Victor seemed genuinely offended. I never wanted her dead. I wanted her broken, dependent, grateful. His eyes gleamed with obsession. Tell me where she is, Adrian. Save yourself. The board's already signed the commitment papers. You're headed for a very private, very secure mental health facility this afternoon. Adrian met his gaze. Go to hell. Victor sighed, checking his watch. Wrong answer, but it doesn't matter. My men will find her eventually. And your daughter too. Adrian couldn't hide his shock. You know about Zara? Of course I do. Victor smiled coldly. Did you think I wouldn't have your wife watched after she died? I know all about your precious little family. And after today, they'll be mine to deal with. He turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and those files you uploaded to the server? Already deleted, along with the backups. You really should have better IT security. He tapped his watch. 2 minutes until my press conference. Time to announce the new era of Sterling innovations. As the door closed behind Victor, Adrian waited 10 seconds, then spoke into his comm. Did you get all that? Maya's voice came through clearly. Every word. Uploading to the network now. Adrian smiled grimly. Activate Phase 2. The Sterling Tower boardroom gleamed with polished wood and executive power. Reporters lined the walls, cameras ready. Board members settled into leather chairs as Victor took his position at the head of the table. The company logo displayed majestically on the screen behind him. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, confidence oozing from every pore. Today marks a new chapter for Sterling Innovations. As Victor launched into his speech about steady leadership and visionary direction, Adrian watched from a security monitor in the locked office. Maya's voice came through his earpiece. Network team, in position. Amara's ready. Adrian checked his watch. Start the countdown. In the boardroom, Victor was hitting his stride. While Adrian Sterling's contributions to this company have been valuable, his recent instability, the screens behind him suddenly flickered. Victor faltered, turning to look as his carefully prepared presentation disappeared, replaced by security footage of Victor accessing Amara's computer late at night 2 years ago. What is this? He demanded, as financial records began scrolling across the screens. Offshore accounts, unauthorized transfers, all bearing Victor's digital fingerprints. The boardroom erupted in confused murmurs. Victor lunged for the controls, but the system didn't respond to his commands. Technical difficulties, he said tightly. Security, shut down the presentation system. But before anyone could move, the screens changed again. Showing Victor's conversation with Adrian from just minutes ago, his confession playing in high-definition video with crystal-clear audio. I've been bleeding this company for years right under your nose. Your father's nose before that. The great Sterling men, too busy counting their millions to notice the hundreds of millions I was diverting. Victor's face drained of color. This is fabricated, a desperate ploy by a disturbed man. The doors to the boardroom burst open. Adrian walked in, but not the disheveled mess from earlier. This Adrian stood tall in a fresh suit, hair combed, eyes clear and focused. Behind him came Maya, 2 federal agents, and James Michaels. I'm afraid it's all quite real, Victor, Adrian said calmly, including the part where you admitted to framing my wife and threatening my child. Victor backed away, looking for escape. This is absurd. The board has already voted. The board voted based on false information. Michaels interrupted. Information you manufactured. Patricia Reynolds, who had supported Victor earlier, stood up. Is this true, Victor? Have you been stealing from the company? Of course not. Victor sputtered. Adrian is clearly manipulating footage. The FBI's Financial Crimes Unit doesn't think so, Adrian countered, nodding to the agents. They've been tracking your offshore accounts for months. Victor's eyes darted around the room, finding no allies. His hand moved toward his pocket. I wouldn't, Maya warned, her stance shifting subtly. Ignoring her, Victor pulled out a small device with a single button. Emergency protocol, he announced, pressing it before anyone could stop him. If I go down, all company data goes with me. Alarms blared throughout the building. Screens went black. Emergency lights flashed. What did you do? Adrian demanded. Victor smiled, regaining his composure. Insurance policy. A complete system purge. Every server, every backup, every cloud storage account. All being wiped clean right now, including your precious evidence. The federal agents moved toward Victor, but he backed away. The building's also locking down, he continued. No one in or out for 2 hours. Standard security protocol that only I can override. His smile widened, which gives my team plenty of time to find Amara and deal with her once and for all. Adrian lunged forward, grabbing Victor by the throat. If they touch her, the agents pulled him back. Mr. Sterling, that's enough. Victor straightened his tie, smug despite the chaos. You've lost, Adrian. Your evidence is gone. Your wife will be gone, and you'll spend the rest of your life in a padded cell, knowing I won. The lights in the boardroom suddenly shut off completely, then flickered back on. The screens reactivated, but instead of Victor's presentation or the evidence against him, a single face appeared. Amara's. Hello, Victor, she said calmly. Remember me? Victor froze, staring at the screen in disbelief. Impossible. The Purge only works on Sterling systems, Amara finished. Not on the independent network I built to track your crimes. Did you really think I'd leave my evidence vulnerable to your failsafes? Around the room, board members and reporters watched in stunned silence as Amara continued. While you were busy framing me and hunting me, I was documenting everything. Every transaction, every threat, every illegal operation you ran using Sterling resources. New windows opened on the screen. Detailed financial records, surveillance footage, recorded conversations. 2 years of meticulous evidence gathering. Your cleanup protocol triggered my countermeasure, Amara explained. Right now, everything I've collected is being sent to the SEC, the FBI, and every major news outlet in the country. Victor's face contorted with rage. You think this changes anything? My men will still find you. Your daughter are being escorted to safety by federal marshals as we speak, Adrian cut in. It's over, Victor. For a moment, Victor seemed to deflate. Then, with surprising speed for a man his age, he pulled a gun from his jacket. It's not over until I say it's over, he snarled, aiming at Adrian. Maya moved instantly, but not fast enough. The gun fired as she tackled Victor. The bullet shattered a window instead of finding its intended target. Chaos erupted. People dove for cover. The federal agents drew their weapons. Maya and Victor crashed to the floor, struggling for control of the gun. A second shot rang out. Then silence. Maya stood slowly, the gun now in her hand. Victor lay motionless, blood spreading across his expensive shirt. Not from Maya's hand, but from his own weapon discharged in the struggle. Get a medical team, Adrian shouted, kneeling beside his fallen mentor. Victor's eyes found his clarity returning in his final moments. I just wanted what you had, he whispered. Everything. You took it for granted. As paramedics rushed in, Adrian turned to the screens where Amara still watched, concern etched on her face. It's done, he told her. Come home. 1 week later, Adrian stood at the window of his office, watching the city below. Sterling Tower hummed with renewed energy as employees returned to work after days of chaos and uncertainty. The door opened behind him. Amara walked in, Zara balanced on her hip. The little girl squealed with delight at the sight of her father, reaching for him with chubby hands. There's my princess, Adrian murmured, taking her into his arms. Over the past week, he'd been making up for lost time, memorizing every detail of his daughter's face, her laugh, her favorite toys. Amara joined him at the window. The board approved everything. Adrian nodded, unanimously. The Sterling Foundation gets 20% of annual profits to fund women's shelters across the country. The network becomes official, with government contracts to help at-risk women and children. And Zuri, officially our new community outreach director, with a salary that made her faint. Adrian smiled, though she recovered quickly enough to negotiate a company car. Amara laughed, a sound Adrian had missed desperately for 2 years. He shifted Zara to one arm, pulling Amara close with the other. The press is still camped outside, he said. Everyone wants the exclusive on the CEO's back from the dead wife. Let them wait, Amara replied. We've earned some privacy. The past week had been a whirlwind. Victor had survived surgery, but remained in critical condition under guard at the hospital. The federal investigation had uncovered the full extent of his crimes, not just embezzlement and fraud, but corporate espionage, blackmail, and conspiracy. 3 board members had resigned after their complicity was revealed. James Michaels had stepped in as interim chairman. Sterling stock had initially plummeted, then rebounded when Adrian and Amara presented their plan to rebuild the company with transparency and ethical practices. "What about the other women?" Adrian asked. "The ones from the network. Most want to stay anonymous," Amara said. "But 5 have agreed to come forward about how Victor threatened them when they discovered financial irregularities. Their testimony will ensure he never walks free again." A soft knock interrupted them. Maya entered, still moving carefully due to her injuries from the boardroom struggle. "Sorry to interrupt," she said, "but there's someone here you might want to see." She stepped aside, revealing Kira from the network, holding a thick folder. "We finished the audit," Kira announced, handing the folder to Amara. "Every dollar Victor stole, every account he used. The FBI has most of it, but I thought you'd want your own copy." Amara flipped through the pages, her financial expertise quickly absorbing the information. "This is incredible work, Kira." "There's something else." Kira hesitated. "We found records of payments to a private investigator who was tracking Adrian's mother." Adrian stiffened. His mother had abandoned the family when he was 10, disappearing without explanation. He'd hired investigators over the years but never found her. "What did he find?" Adrian asked quietly. "Her location. Proof she's alive." Kira handed him a sealed envelope. "Victor kept this from you. I think he enjoyed knowing something you desperately wanted to know." Adrian stared at the envelope, emotions warring on his face. Amara touched his arm gently. "You don't have to open it now," she said. "Or ever." He nodded, tucking the envelope into his pocket. "Some revelations could wait." "The contractors are finished at the house," Maya reported, changing the subject. "Security systems fully upgraded. Safe room installed per your specifications." After days of hotels and temporary locations, they were finally returning to Adrian's, their home that evening. A home Amara had never thought she'd see again. "Thank you, Maya," Adrian said, "for everything." When they were alone again, Amara turned to Adrian. "Are you sure about all this? The foundation, the network going public? It puts a target on our backs." "Let it," Adrian said firmly. "We're done hiding, done being separated by fear." He kissed her softly. "Besides, I have plans for us." "Plans?" Amara raised an eyebrow. "The cabin. Properly renovated, of course. Weekends away from city. Maybe eventually full-time, once we've rebuilt the company." His eyes searched hers. "The life we talked about before everything went wrong." Amara smiled, tears gathering in her eyes. "I'd given up on that dream. I'm just getting started on it," Adrian promised, holding his family close as the afternoon sun bathed them in golden light. 6 months later, Sterling Innovations had transformed. The sleek tower now housed not only the technology company, but also the Sterling Foundation, occupying the entire 10th floor. Where Victor once plotted his schemes, dozens of advocates now coordinated resources for women's shelters across the country. Adrian walked through the foundation offices, greeting staff members. Many former network women now employed with proper salaries and benefits. In the main conference room, Zuri led a training session for new outreach coordinators. "Mr. Sterling," she acknowledged with a grin, no longer the desperate young mother who'd burst into his office half a year ago. "Here to check up on us?" "Just passing through," Adrian replied. "Amara wanted me to remind you about dinner Sunday." "Wouldn't miss it." Zara promised to show me her new words. Adrian smiled proudly. His daughter was growing rapidly, already stringing together simple sentences and running everywhere on sturdy little legs. Every milestone felt like a miracle after nearly 2 years of absence from her life. He continued to his office, where Richard Sterling waited, examining architectural plans spread across the desk. "The cabin expansion looks good," the elder Sterling said by way of greeting. "Contractor says they'll finish before winter." The father-son relationship, strained for years, had healed in unexpected ways through crisis. Richard now served as an advisor to the foundation, his business experience proving valuable in its rapid expansion. "How's the investigation going?" Adrian asked, pouring coffee for them both. Richard's expression darkened. "Victor's not talking. His lawyers are fighting everything. But with 37 witnesses and those financial records, he'll die in prison. Victor Harlow, recovered from his injuries, awaited trial on multiple federal charges. His once powerful allies had abandoned him, cutting deals to save themselves. And the others? Adrian asked. The board members who helped him? Richard sipped his coffee. The SEC fined them into oblivion. 2 are facing criminal charges. Adrian nodded, satisfied with justice's progress. He checked his watch. Nearly time for the press conference announcing the Foundation's latest initiative. Have you opened it yet? Richard asked suddenly. Adrian didn't pretend to misunderstand. The envelope with his mother's information remained in his desk drawer, unopened. Not yet, he admitted. You should, Richard said, surprising him. For closure, if nothing else. Did you know? Adrian asked quietly. Where she was all these years? Richard shook his head. I looked too, son. Never found her. Before Adrian could respond, his phone buzzed with a message from Amara. We're here. Minutes later, Amara entered with Zara toddling beside her, holding her mother's hand. The little girl spotted Adrian and broke into a run, her dark curls bouncing. Daddy, up! Adrian swept her into his arms,